Okay, welcome back guys to this second part of this tutorial. This part is supposed to be about shading and materials for the new scene that I've created. Even though the scene is not so complicated, I don't know, it took a little bit longer than I expected, so I'm gonna try and make this second part to be shorter. So let's get started right away. But before we start modeling, I just want to point out a few things that I want to fix before we start with the tutorial. When you look at, I've just hidden the other layers on the side here, as you can see, like the roof and the actual building of the studio, and I just left the floor and these other things so that I can work properly with the text, because I want to fix the text before I do anything. Like I pointed, I think on the previous tutorial, that on the first part of the tutorial, that these letters are a little bit stretched. So with the when you apply the material on this, they're gonna look very funny. They're not gonna look right because of this funny text formatting. And I noticed that this happens because of the curve modifier that I've added on the object. For instance, if I could delete the curve and show you the text without this curve, I think when it curves the mesh, it brings out this funny things. I think it's because of it's actually curving the actual letters, because it's treating the whole thing as one mesh. So to fix that, I thought of a simpler way, but I'm just going to show you how to do it with the first few letters, then the rest you can do it on your own so that the tutorial doesn't get longer. What I did is I actually duplicated this layer. I hit Shift D to duplicate the layer and grab it to the y-axis to move it a little bit forward so that I can work with that new one, so that I don't mess up the whole formatting. And then what I did with this one, I removed not the solidify modifier, I removed the curve modifier. And then when I do that, the curve jumps, the text jumps right back where it was before the modifier. So I'll grab it and move it to the y-axis, which is here, and then go to the front view, grab it to the x-axis to put it a little bit almost the place where it was before, and then look at it from the top view again. I think I need to move it a little bit forward like so that we can see it. It's almost at the same place where our original text is. As you can see, they are overlapping. And then what I'm supposed to do with that is I'm just going to hide that text, the one with the curve modifier. Both of these ones are not that one, but this one, these two. So we are left with the one that I just duplicated. So I'm going to move it to the y-axis again so you can see it. Now you see that it doesn't have those weird formatting that was on this. So it shows that it was because of the curve modifier, but now I need it to still be aligned with the other text. That means it must curve still with this panel here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert it to the mesh so that I can separate them and make them each letter one letter each. So what I do, you come to object, convert to mesh. So it's now a mesh. It's no longer a text object that you can edit, but you have to do it only when you know that you're not gonna change the letters anymore, because you can't change the text after you do this, because it's now mesh. You have to model it to get it to become a mesh. You can see now, you can select the faces and stuff. So, and then on top of this again, I have to do another thing. I have to say, because now they are all separate meshes, you can just hit tab, but you see now when you go to object mode, it's still one object. They move together, you see, which I don't want. I want to be able to move each letter on its own so that I can place them back because if you try to add the curve modifier on this again, it's still gonna do the stretching. So you have to place them manually one by one. So what I'm gonna do, you go to tab, and then if you hit Control and L, you will select just one letter and hit P for separate, and then choose selection. You separated it by selection. That means you're making this N to be one letter, but you see when you select the rest, these are still joined. So you have to do that with all the letters. You select this second one and go to tab, select one face and Control L P by selection. Now it's, and then if you check, now these two are joined, but these are one single letters. But another thing that I noticed is that because if you try to shade smooth the whole letter, it's going to give you another weird formatting again. I tried to do that and it didn't work nicely. So what I did is, in order to smooth this back part, you see it still shows the lines, and even inside the E here you can still see, if I zoom in, you see here, you can see you still see these lines here, and then even outside you still see those. So you have to separate this and that and shade them smooth separately so that they don't stretch this one. Let me just add the smooth, let me smooth it, and so you can see how it's gonna look. If you go to object, shade smooth, you see how it's gonna be. So in order to avoid that, you have to separate the E again. So I'm going to select E and hit tab, and then if you hold Alt down and select one of these faces, it's gonna select all the joined faces that goes around the loop, that loops around that E, and you hit P by selection. Now it's a separate mesh from the other part of the E. So you have to do that also with this central piece. I'll hit P again, tab again to go to edit mode, and Alt and left click and hit P to separate it by selection. So now if you select just this looping edges, faces, and hit shade smooth, you see they are now smoothed. And you go to the second one, object, shade smooth, now they are smooth, so they won't give you those funny formatting. But now what you have to do with these letters now, in order to make them curve again with the curve modifier, you can just bring back the text, the actual text that's sitting there at the back. You see I didn't delete it. So if you come to the top view and grab just one letter that you want to move, and you have to just place it manually. Grab Y, move it back like so, and then rotate it on the Z-axis, something like this. So let me just zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. You see it's gonna be a manual work now. Rotate on the Z-axis, something like that, and then you position it as you want it. It's not gonna be too exact, but I don't think that's gonna be a big problem. You do that with all the letters going this way. For instance, you take, I didn't do this other two, I didn't make them separate objects, but you can select this, hold shift, select this other part, and then select the outer part as well. Now you selected all, and then you come to the top and you grab it to the Y, rotate it on the Z-axis like so, because the origin is here, that's why it's turning like that. So you just grab it and move it, and as you can zoom closer, you can see the lines that I was talking about on the original text, and then they are not on this one. So when you apply the material, it will shine on this one, but on that it was going to show those lines. So that's the reason I had to go through all this to make it look proper. So you can just manually place the E again. I think on the front it's sitting properly, yeah, it's fine. And then as soon as you are done with converting all this and placing them properly, you can now go back to this layer here and delete that layer. You can just come to this one and delete it. Then you'll be left with this, the ones that you just placed. So you will apply the material on those. So I was just showing you that, guys, and then now I'm going to delete all these ones. Control Z, selected the floor by mistake. I'm gonna delete all these ones. Delete all this because I already manually did all those letters. So I'll just come to this one as well and delete it. All the text with the curve modifier I'm going to have to delete. This one here, delete it. And this one, no, I will leave that one for now. And then what else? Then I'll bring back all these other ones that I've just redone. All this, I will just bring them back. So now we have all the text of the logo placed properly as I showed you guys, and then you can see now everything is smoothed out. I did it behind the scene. I had to do this behind the scene so that you guys don't have to watch me make a long tutorial again. So now we can go back to the material. Now that that is out of the way, let's go back to the material. And I brought back the walls already, that's fine. Let's just start with the materials. You're gonna go to the top view, select the floor, and then I'm going to go to tab again, object mode, and go to Control A, apply scale. So now when you go to tab and go to the top view, you unwrap, because this is unwrapped. Anytime you apply the material to this, it will apply properly. So we're going to go to shading. I just wanted to go to give us the shading layout, because it's on this material preview. I'll just go to this what is that, to the solid view, and go to the top, and I'll add the material on this. So to add the material, with the new Blender, you just have to go to where your material is. I got these materials from textures.com. You can download them on textures.com. I'm using this just for the floor of the studio, so you can use whatever you want. I just thought this was the right one for me. You just have to grab it, that, and go to Blender, and if you drop it here, it will create the node, the node that's properly inserted the proper texture, and then you put it through here on the color, and then it will apply the color on the floor, but you will not be able to see it now. You can only see it when you go to the material. You see now the material view. You can see now the texture is applied, but you can see the scaling, it's a lot big. If you hit Control, and if you are on this side here and you select the texture node and hit Control and T, Blender will create, and you have the node wrangler add-on enabled. Blender will create this for you, so it will add the UV map, and it will create all this, so you can scale the tile to the size you want. I did it with 5 on the scaling. On all of them, you have to just put 5 on all. You'll see that it will scale the tiles the way you want. You see now the tiles are a lot smaller, which is what I want. I want it like that. And then you can just in order to make this easier, again, we just have to leave this as here. Let me just see if I can just put this one over here, and then I'm gonna add the rest of the materials just the way I added the other one. I'll add the first one was the albedo, which is the color, and then I'm gonna come with the roughness and drag it and drop it here. I'll place it right here, and then the rest of the textures, you have to remember not to put them on the color space, you put it on the non-color. If you put it on the color space, they're not going to work properly, so you just have to go to non-color space. You have to do that with all the rest of the textures. Only the albedo, which is the color, it's fine. Then the rest of this has to go to the non-color data. And then I'll add this one as well, which is the normal map, and then you go also to the non-color, and then I'll go to the other one, which is going to be the what, this one as well. They're both working as a heightness and normal map, so I'll just print this one as well, and remember to change it to non-color data, non-color. Okay, now that we have that done, for the scaling, we can just grab this and put it inside so that the scaling is the same on all textures. You just have to pull that noodle thing and let me just increase the space of this one so that the scaling can be properly done. You can just do that so that now all this will give you the uniform scaling. The scaling will be the same on all textures. Okay, now for the first one, we're just gonna take the color into the roughness. That will control the shininess of the material, and then you come to the second and the third. You first have to add the normal map, Shift A, vector normal map for this one, to convert this one to the normal map, because you can see that it has to be, the color of this has to match the color of where you're going to plug it. So this, if you plug it there, it wasn't going to match, so you just have to use the normal map to convert it. And then Shift A, bump, vector bump, and then you place it over here. Now you have to connect this one into that one to convert it, and then the normal into the normal here, and then this one into the height. Then you connect both of them into the normal up there. Then the texturing for the floor should be fine. I'm just going to check it quickly from the rendered viewport. You can see now there's it. You can see, but it's applied on the whole mesh because I didn't create the other materials for other things. So I just have to come here and create a few other materials, and then select this one and assign it to the floor, and then create new. Quickly I have to create new materials for the other. Okay, let me just quickly give it space, and then I'll have to add what, this one. I'll name it floor, and then it's applied to the floor. And then I will on this one here, I'll add a new material. This one I'll name it wall, and this one I will create a new material, and this one I'll name it roof, and then this one I will create it and name it, it's going to be for the desktop, the top of the desk. I will say desk top. I'm gonna create them all. Okay, I'll leave it in this for now so that I can change those materials now to apply on the walls. So I'll come to this one, I'll go back to the to this object mode and hit tab to go to object mode and select the wall, tap again and select the whole wall, apply the which material on that one, the wall material, and assign it to the wall, and then tap again, go to which one, okay, and the roof. I will just unhide the roof. Let me just go to the roof. Where's the roof? Here's the roof. I will just select it, tap it, and select it, apply the roof material. I didn't unwrap the rest of the objects, but I just wanna do the material quickly. So when you come back inside, I just want to put the camera somewhere you can see. I'll put the camera somewhere here and rotate it on the Z axis, something like so, and go to rendered viewport and see. I think as you can see, this is a little bit too much actually, because this is just the regular floor. I think this is a little bit too much still. I'll make it 0.3. That should be I should do it for the floor. I think I'll leave it on that, as you can see it's a little bit it's making a little bit more sense like that. So okay, I'm done with the floor. Now I'm going to apply the material on the rest of the scene. So I'm going to hide again the walls, the roof. I'm going to hide the roof again and the walls, and I'm going to come to the table. Let me start first by creating the materials for the rest of these are simple, very easy. I'm just gonna, for the tabletop, I'm gonna go to the material and select the desk top, and because it's going to have the principal BSDF applied to it, I'm going to change the color to black. I need this one to be just black but glossy, so I'll just reduce the roughness on this one to make it shine a lot, because on the news it's pretty reflective. This is shiny but not enough. I think I should make it a little bit more shiny. Yeah, this is the material that I'm going to apply on the TV, on the monitors, the frame of the monitors, not the screen here where the picture is gonna appear of what the newsreader is talking about, but only on these frames here, the sides. So I will change the name of this material from the desktop. Now I'll just name it properly. I think I should name it instead of desktop, black glossy. That's what I'm gonna name it. And then I'll select this part of the monitor and apply the black glossy on it. As you can see, it's changed. Then I'll come to the second screen and apply the black glossy as well. It's applied on those three. And then the chair was black, but I think I don't want it to be too shiny, so I want to apply the same material. And then I'll come to the table. This my table was like orange red. I'm gonna do the same. I'll apply I'll add a new material and name that desk base, the base of the desk. And then I'll come here and change the color. These materials, you can actually give them whatever color you want. I'm just gonna give them something closer to what I gave the materials I gave on the original news. In order to see this properly, I think I should increase the brightness of this light and maybe change the type of a light that this is. This is the, let's see if I put it as a spot lamp, area lamp. I think area lamp is better, and I will grab the lamp on the y-axis and put it over here and rotate it something like so. For now, it's just a temporary lamp, temporary, and I'll leave it here, something like that. And then this part, which is the panel, I'm just gonna name it panel, the material for that panel. Panel blue. I think I have it blue. I don't know. I can't remember. I'm gonna just change the color to something like this blue. Let's see. This blue, yeah. And then I'm going to make it shine as well. Reduce the roughness. I want it to shine a lot. I want them to be very reflective. Very reflective. And then I'm going to zoom in something like this, and then I'm gonna come here, and the letters I'm going to add, let's see how many material slots I have here. Roof, floor, panel, blue. The rest, I think they are fine. Let me just add a new material for the letters. This is white glossy. I'm gonna name it white glossy. This one, white glossy. And then I'm just gonna do the same thing, because this I don't have to change the color. I just have to reduce the roughness, make it pretty reflective as well. And then what I'm gonna do is select all these other ones, keep giving them the same white glossy material. This, that, white glossy, this, let's see, that, white glossy, and the W, white glossy, the S, I'll give it white glossy. Let me just save, Control S to save the progress so far. This was black, so I'm gonna select that and add select the same material as this one. That's what these two was. They were black glossy, and then this was white. This I didn't change much on it because I think it's a small text. It won't show the other stuff that I wanted to hide on other texts, so this won't show. So because most of the materials are applied, the wall I actually left it white. I'm just gonna leave the wall white and see how it looks before I can change anything else. The lightning is fine for now. I don't want to worry too much about the lightning for now. And then I think I need to move these texts a little bit back towards to touch this panel. So because this is selected GUI, I'm moving it back. Let me just go to object mode and see if it's touching. Let's see. Let me zoom in. GY, yeah, it's actually touching, so that's fine. That's fine. And then now, because this is done, let me just see what I need to do. Okay, let me bring back the walls, because I think the wall, the way it looks, it's not looking right. I'm just going to select the wall and give it a white material, white plain material. Wall, I will just give it white. It's going to be just white with no reflection, with roughness, and I'll increase the roughness of the wall. So then I'll come to the camera view and just go to rendered mode and see if I take the camera closer to the top view. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to delete this light and light the scene properly now. I'm going to Shift A, mesh, plane. I'm going to grab it to the Z axis and come to the 1 and rotate it like so. And then I'm going to move it a little bit back. This is going to be the fill light. I'm going to grab it to the X and put it a little bit in the middle and scale it to the X, like very, very big. And then I'll add the material on it. It's going to be, this is going to be fill light, and then I'm going to change the material. Instead of using this principle, I'm going to use the emission shader, emission, and then it's on 1, and then go inside to the camera view, zoom in and zoom a lot more in, and then increase the strength to about something like that. This should be fine. I'm going to move the camera to the angle that I had the first picture taken of the studio. So I'm going to go to this, and then I'm going to scale it a little bit smaller because it's a little bit too big. I'm going to move the camera closer and rotate it on the Z, something like so, because I want to shoot the first image from the side, something like this. This is how I had it taken on the first image. So I'll come here again, and now that I'm here, I'm going to select to increase the render settings now, to change the render settings and see if I can get it right. This one I'm gonna increase it to about 500 samples, and I'm going to Control S to save the scene, and then I'm gonna hit F12 to see the actual first rendered image of the studio.